I want to mention one obvious thing that I believe it was Mark Faber pointed out. It's so simple and common sense that I think a lot of people are overlooking about it. They're overlooking it. They talk about the world supply of metals and investor demand and industrial demand and where it's going to, how much it's being mined, what the supplies are above ground that are available for industry or investing. But one thing people aren't really paying attention to as much, and it's so simple that it's so obvious, is the population of the Earth. The population of the Earth is, I'm not even going to pull out the statistics, but since the last time gold went up many times in the 70s, the population of the Earth since 1980 to 2011 has grown greatly. And it's another thing, most of the investors during the last big run-up in gold were coming from the West. They were from Europe and they were from the United States. But now there's going to be a lot of people coming from Asia, Singapore, China, Japan, India. There's a lot more wealth on the other side of the world, so there's going to be a lot more money pouring into it. So you got, you might be talking, here's some statistics about silver. Back in one time, I think it's in 1600, the number of ounces per person was still in the 8 to 10 area, 8 to 10 ounces of silver per person in the globe. And right now, they talk about 4 ounces of silver, and that's if you include all the jewelry and everything that's in silver, silverware, plates, and everything else. But actually for coinage, there's only 0.15 ounces of silver. But think of the whole picture. When you're talking across the globe, there's plenty of people who can't afford any silver, so you can skip that. Now it's not just going to be the West, it's not just going to be Europe and the United States. It's going to be China, India, Japan, Korea, Singapore, any place that has, there's a lot more money pouring into. Thailand, any of those countries that are getting new cash. They're investing in this, and they value these metals. Now, I don't know if they really value silver as much because they're more into gold and platinum. Actually, platinum more than you would think. But just think about the actual number of real investors out there, and that you're competing with the other side of the world. Physical silver looks like it's going to get extremely rare as if you're actually holding this stuff. But I want to get on with palladium. Palladium is far underpriced for one reason. I mean, it's 30 times more rare than gold. And the difference between the output of platinum and palladium, platinum is produced at the 7.5% differential. Not much different. They're pretty much just as much effort goes into mining palladium as does platinum, but palladium is like, I think, 38% the cost. But what you're going to see is these prices are going to become more equal, and you're going to see platinum again pass up gold in price. It's never, sometimes it could be 2 to 1 to gold, but usually it's 1.4 to 1.45 to 1 to gold. It is extremely underpriced right now. I hold palladium, and palladium this year looks bad. I mean, it looked really good in 2010, 2011. It looks bad. I don't know what's going to happen during the rest of the year. I have a feeling that, well, I think all the metals are going to go up this last quarter. That's my belief, because the way the markets are reacting, I think the panic's going to turn the other way. Zimbabwe in South Africa is another place where palladium is mined, and it looks like recent news here, and this affects the price too. This affects the price. A lot of news that comes out. I mean, if you pump out a lot of stories out there, I mean, there was a big scare that Russia wasn't going to be sending any more palladium to the United States. It went up over $1,000. I think it was back in 2000. It was more expensive than gold, a lot more expensive. So I mean, if there's it turned out the rumor was false, but Russia, they were mining palladium for many decades, and they had stockpiled up for, I don't know, since 1989, when they actually started finding found an interest in the use for palladium and catalytic converters. So since that time, those stockpiles they're pretty much diminished. And what's going on now is that Russia is actually producing less and less palladium, besides the stockpiles being diminished. So you would think that the prices would go up, but right now the EFTs, they hold 30% of the worldwide palladium supply. So quite a bit is being held by investors. I hold some physically, and I hold some in the PALL EFT, both mostly physical. But I think people should look at this because this has a wide industrial use. China has increased its use of it 45%. I think it was in the last year. And Russia, I forgot the name of that mine they have out there. It's primarily a nickel mine. I don't know if I have it up here, but yeah, here it is. Norilsk. They're actually their production is decreasing every year by about 7%. Combine that with the stockpiles that have been depleted supposedly in 2009. Now, maybe the stockpiles aren't depleted, because if I was Russia, I would tell everybody the stockpiles are depleted before they actually deplete it and keep some on the side. They could be. I mean, it used to be a big state secret what how much palladium there was, but let me put it this way. If they're not selling it till it hits a certain price, assume the price is going to go up, just like the stockpile that's being held back in Zurich, Switzerland. They're not releasing none of that till it goes up to a certain price. So considering that the stockpile in Russia is basically gone, and Russia, their production went from 60% to 50% to 44%, and the last I heard it's 42% of the world's supply. In this Norilsk, I don't know if I'm saying that right, they dropped 7% a year the last couple of years in palladium production. And China has increased their palladium usage in 45%, and I think, we got these statistics on the web. ETFs holding now represent 30% of worldwide palladium supply. You know what? You don't know what the Chinese have, because the main supplier is from Russia, and I'm sure there's a lot of deals going on. I mean, all the numbers aren't available to us. I have a suspicion that this metal is going to be worth a lot more than gold, and gold is going to take off in itself. So I think this metal I'm going to hold on to for quite some time, past silver, and I think silver's got a few more years to go. But people ought to be looking at this, because actually this year, even though the price from the bottom, I think it got below $200 spot, and I bought a lot of it back then, you're going to see this stuff go way the hell up past gold. It's 30 times more rare than gold, and it's got a lot more industrial uses than platinum. And like I said, the hydrogen technology, it's a hydrogen purifier. They need it for that, and that's a clean energy. Like if you're producing electricity and you have excess electricity, I know some people say it's a crazy theory that you can get hydrogen from water, but you can. But if you have, maybe you can't get it in an efficient way, but if you're producing electricity and you have too much excess electricity at one point, it is a smart idea to use that excess electricity to split off the hydrogen into the water. And palladium can purify that hydrogen. It's a very, very, very clean fuel. So I could see, and there's a number of electronics that are being used with palladium too, besides it being a purifier. But palladium is the only one that has that property where it can purify hydrogen, and that's another reason they used it in the catalytic converters. It platinum works for that too, but it has some unique properties that nothing else has. So I think with these depressed prices, and when they're saying palladium and platinum are going to be coming closer together in price, and right now platinum is less than gold, and these supplies of palladium are actually becoming smaller and smaller, not just from Russia, but also from problems in South Africa. Uh, I think you might see a big surprise turnaround in this metal. Just point that out, but I don't know who's going to be buying it right now because it's a very, very, very small market. You talk about the silver market being small. This is a heck of a lot smaller.